Yeah, that's swimming, but I think.
That's really very minimal.
Good?
Take it as a personal challenge.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to, oh,
Now.
thank you. False alarm. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the council meeting tonight, Monday, December 16th. Councilor Zambrello, will you lead us in the pledge, please? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Lesser,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Forrest,
Here.
Councilor Bailey,
Here.
Councilor Carbone,
Here.
Councilor Clancy,
Here.
Councilor Durick,
Here.
Councilor Rhodes,
Here.
Councilor Timbrow,
Here.
Councilor Zambrello.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, everybody. The first item on our agenda is a recognition of Wethersfield sports teams. We had 3 teams that were outstanding this fall season, and I'm going to start with our girls swimming and diving, and if the representatives are here, you can feel free to come up here and maybe we'll take a photo after, but I am going to read the stuff that was sent. You have one? Yeah, great. And the coach? Yeah. So congratulations to our Wethersfield girls swimming and diving team as they earn their 16th straight CCC division title. Yeah. An applause right there. In addition to the girls swim and dive won the CCC East Invitational with dominating performances. They won 53 of the total 90 medals available. And junior, I'm sorry I might pronounce this wrong, Milena Radowitz broke a 38-year record in the 500. Wow. At the States, the Lady Eagles had a 3rd place finish at the Class M championships, again highlighted by Milena, who was the 200 freestyle state champion, 200-yard freestyle relay champions, which was a 3-peat. And that was Milena, Morgan Tracy, Sophia Clementon, and Jillian Pitchell. And then in the 400 relay, 3rd place, Milena, Maddie Kelly, Katie Moran, Jillian Pitchell. Other top 6 finishes with Jillian 4th in the 50 and the 100 free, Maddie Kelly 6th in the 500 free, Milena again in the 4th in the breaststroke, and then 4th place by Ava, Maddie Kelly, and Morgan Tracy. So just an incredible record of success over 16 years. Coach Schwartzman, we applaud you and your great efforts. And if you'd like to say a few words and introduce one of your swimmers, and then I'd love to take a picture with the council. So Coach Schwartzman. Yeah, so we can pick up the words and feel free if she'd like to speak or swim. No. So Coach, congratulations and thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know I was supposed to say anything, but my swim parents know I'll never shy away from a microphone. And I've been here too many times. I mean, this is my 18th year at Wethersfield. I didn't grow up in Wethersfield, but coaching the teams, the boys and the girls, really makes this feel like my home. The swimming, sometimes swimming feels like we kind of get lost, and we do so well, and sometimes the stands look like there's not many people there. So I guess I'll use this time to encourage you. Hey, we're actually pretty good. The girls do a fantastic job. They work really hard kind of behind the scenes while they see all these other sports get, hundreds and hundreds of fans showing up. But we are inside the pool that was built in 1970. It still works. The water is still H2O. But come see us. It's a lot of fun. Girls swim meets are about the most exciting thing that swimming has to offer, in the most exciting overall, I think, except for like the Olympics. A girls swim meet is just an incredible experience. The boys are starting. We have a meet on Thursday. So if you don't believe me, come to the pool 5 p.m. on Thursday.
And you want to introduce your swimmer?
This is Ellie Mann. You want to give a spiel? No.
Well, thank you again. We're proud of you, and the whole community salutes your efforts and your accomplishments. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't know if you want to get it. We can get a photo if you want. It's up to you guys. Yeah? Sure. We need someone who's willing to take it or wants... Do we have, is that a, yeah.
Yeah, Karen.
Is that a mom or?
That's, yeah, I know.
Thank you. That's all good. You should get in. Can you get, let's all squeeze in a little bit. We're going to get the whole council. Come on. I can go behind, I can go behind you.
Michelle's the tallest one here.
Go ahead.
All right,
Get all of us?
I can. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have 2 more teams to recognize. This was sent me this afternoon, so I'm reading it to you, but it's important to recognize these teams who did so amazingly well. The next one is, congrats to our girls soccer team on their 4th straight CCC North Division crown, which was earned this past season. Our Eagles also advanced to the CCC postseason tournament, where they advanced to the championship game and the Class L state tournament. The Wethersfield High School girls soccer team is the only program in the CCC to have qualified every year for the tournament. Congrats to senior defender Julia Daly, as she was named to the 2024 CHSCA All-State team. So congratulations to our girls soccer team. I don't know if anybody, I don't think we have anybody from the girls soccer team. I know we have a couple folks from the football team. If you guys would be willing to stand up here, and I'm going to read a little bit about you guys, and then if you're welcome to say something if you want, and we'll certainly take a picture. But congratulations to our Wethersfield High School football team as they finished the regular season with a 9-1 record and beat Newington in front of a packed crowd at Cottone Field on Thanksgiving Eve. The victory also secured the Eagles a share of the CCC title and advanced our squad into the state playoffs. A special thanks to our season this year as they battled back, and I know this story, from 0-10 last year to 9-1 this year. That's a great story of resilience. So, fantastic. Outstanding job. Really, the town is so proud of you. And if you guys would introduce yourself, and you're welcome if you want to say anything, and if not, we'll take a picture for sure. But you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Senior Captain Eric Belvoda.
I'm Mason Everett.
It's great to have you guys. If you want to say anything about the team, you can if you want.
I'll go quick.
Okay, great.
So first off, I'm just very thankful to be a part of the 2024 Eagle season. It was just a really great experience. Obviously, bouncing back from an 0-10 season is obviously tough for a lot of people. Not many teams can do that. You see teams go into consistent losing spurts. We were able to turn the script and go from 0-10 back to the playoffs. And it was just a great honor to be a part of that team and leading as a captain.
Thank you very much. It's a great story of success and, like I said, resilience. We'd love to get a photo. I don't know if there's anybody who wants to take the photo, and if you guys, yeah.
We got one.
We got one,
Maybe
yeah.
put them in the middle.
Put the,
Yeah, like instead of going to the side.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. You guys go in the middle.
There you go.
Get your brown.
Squeeze up. I'm a little,
Yeah, come on. Everyone should get in.
I'm a little taller.
Get over here.
Let us know. You got everybody?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations. Thank you, guys.
Nice job.
Nice job. Thank you.
You bet.
Proud of all of our athletes, and especially the ones that competed so well and did so well this fall, and make our whole town proud. So moving on the agenda, we are next with hearings, C-1, Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a public hearing for a resolution to authorize the town to submit an application to the Solid Waste Infrastructure and Recycling Grant Program. This is an EPA grant program where there's approximately $58 million available nationwide. We are applying this to the same project that we got approval for last meeting to apply for a state grant for the same thing. We're trying to maximize our opportunity to get funding for this. And again, this is for a organics facility, composting and recycling facility for organics, and that includes yard waste and food waste. And our target is the Russell Road area. And this would allow us funding to purchase property and to initially do phase one of a project. Our plan is to do a public-private partnership for this project, where we will go out to RFP for a company to run the facility. And it would be a regional facility that all the towns and the cities in our region would be able to utilize it. Right now, we have to ship material, organics, that we collect down to Southington, and the capacity of that facility is limited. And so we are attempting to come up with a project where we can try to deal with more of our waste here in town, and also to provide opportunities for other localities. With the closing of the Mirror plant a few years back, over 40% of Connecticut's waste gets shipped out of state right now. So we're trying to do whatever we can to limit that and to make our costs less with respect to our disposal fees. So again, this is for public hearing, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. I'll now open the public hearing to the public for public comment. You can only speak on this item. As most of you know, we will have public comment on any other item coming up soon. But does anybody want to speak on just this hearing item? And if so, please state your name and address and come to the podium. Yes, please.
Kathleen Christ, 112 Valley Crest Drive, Wethersfield. I'm just concerned about this whole project. Not that I'm against it yet, because I don't feel I know as much about it as I need to know, or as everybody needs to know. But I've read several articles in the paper, as I said at the last meeting, and again this past Saturday, there was another article about a plant in Bristol that there's people from 4 towns complaining about this with the noise and the smells. So I just want everybody to be aware of, these types of things, and we need to do our homework and really research. The other thing is the mayor of Bristol said that this is something that they put in, but now somebody else is running it, and it's out of his hands. It's out of the city's hands. So we just need to really look before we jump into this. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Further public comment on this hearing item only? Seeing none, I will open up to councilors to any questions of the town manager on this hearing item before we move on to the next agenda item. Seeing none, we'll close this item and we'll go to C-2, Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is another public hearing. This is for Resolution R 24-012, and it's to establish a charter revision commission. Again, per your charter, you're required to create a charter revision commission and to put forward any amendments to the charter every 10 years, and that will be coming up at the next election in November of 2025. So this is to create a commission to review the charter and to make any recommended changes to you all.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. I'll now open it up to the public. If anybody wants to comment just on this item on the creation of Charter Revision Commission, come up and please state your name and address. Anyone for Charter Revision? Okay. Does any counselor have any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and we will move to general public comments. And as I do each meeting, I will read this statement before we begin. During the public comment period, members of the public will have 5 minutes to speak on any issue. We have a lighted timer at the podium to help each speaker be aware of the time remaining for them to address the council. When you step up to the podium, please state your name and address, and at this point, the green light will come on showing your 5 minutes have begun. The yellow light will come on when you have 1 minute left, and at this time, we ask you to begin to wrap up your comments. The red light will come on when you've reached the 5 minute limit and you'll be asked to complete your comments. After speaking, we ask that you return to your seat or exit the council chamber so the next person may speak. If you did not have a seat in the chamber prior to speaking, please exit the council chambers and continue to your previous seat, or you can exit the building. I ask that you address your comments to the entire council and refrain from speaking directly to or individually about council members or the audience. I also ask that you refrain from any derogatory comments or personal attacks. Please remain respectful. This section is for public comment, and the council will generally not engage in dialogue during this portion of the agenda. If any follow-up is needed, please leave your contact information with the town clerk, and the town manager will follow up with you. I will now open it up for general public comment. Please come up to the podium and state your name and address. Bob.
My name is Bob Woodward. I live at 456 Middletown Avenue. First topic, ARPA funds. When I circulated a petition to support the recent referendum, one of my neighbors who signed it said, why don't they use some of this money to improve our roads in town? I'll pass that along as a thought. Second, Mr. Presley at one point said there would be a master plan for Millwoods Park. Two thoughts on that. Please remember that whatever you do that is not natural, even if you leave out the synthetic turf field, if you put a road, a paved walk, concession stands, buildings, whatever, every blade of grass that gets taken up, every leaf that gets taken down hurts all of us, because photosynthesis in God's wonders, the grass takes in our carbon dioxide and puts out oxygen that we breathe and helps us all. Please keep that in mind for the master plan, and please also, for the master plan, make it available somehow so that we all know it's out there, we can look at it, and we can have some time, not just a week or between one council meeting to the next, but some time to come back with comments. You know there are people who are interested in this. Let's switch parks. Let's go down to Standish Park. Standish Park was commented by the people who were here and also did the meeting up in the community center with seniors about the schools. And I said it both here and up in the community center, you need to take anything you're going to do to the exterior of Hamner School to historic district. And Hamner School and Standish Park have a dividing line somewhere, and you need to go check that out, because I read in Rare Reminder as well as heard comments that there was going to be a swing school maybe considered for that site. I called historic district, talked to Ms. Wolf. The Standish family who gave the park also gave the school land to the school. But somewhere there is a dividing line, and they need to go find that. And any changes to the exterior of Hamner School need to go through historic district. Mr. Moran did have an appointment, and it was not kept, it was canceled, but somebody needs to please remind them that that needs to happen. The other thing about the schools, sounds like there's a lot of options out there. 4 or 5 of them at least. At least one state in this country, I think Alaska, voted their recent representative with ranked voting. Instead of having one choice come to council and we sit here and debate and then go vote on one choice, couldn't we do ranked voting on all the choices? It would put it in our hands, and where else should it belong? The other thing I said up at a meeting at the senior center or the community center about the schools is, you know, it would make it very palatable to vote for one of these if the town and the schools would promise you would balance the budget and cut your budgets enough so that the school improvements would not increase the budget. The Hartford Courant had an article today about how costly it is to live in this state, and it is. Groceries, electricity, insurance, you know that, you live here. It's very costly, especially when you're a senior and you've got a pension, Social Security, and whatever reserves you have. Please keep that in mind when we're looking at all of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Further public comment. Anybody else from the public wish to speak? Yes. Mike, I think if you're in the back row, Mike, yeah.
right. Mike Betts, 187 Griswold Road. I'd like to talk about the Millwoods Park referendum. So first of all, I think we can all acknowledge the tremendous turnout we had, and it was really impressive. 3,000 people came out to vote, which is 15% of the electorate, and this is really great turnout considering all the challenges, right? We had not a standard election day, not a standard election site. People didn't know where to vote. Minimal advertisement from the town, so there was very little notice or information about the referendum. And, finally, it was a really dreary December day. So excellent turnout, and I want to thank everyone who came out to vote. And then I'd like to talk about the referendum results. So the results speak volumes, right? 85% of the people who voted no. Think about that, 85%. It's overwhelming. And I'd like to especially thank the people who came out to vote no. So my heartfelt thanks, because I think we together have sent you a message. And so let's be clear what this was about. So the official wording on the referendum was about authorizing proceeding with soliciting proposals, etc. But really what it was about is whether or not we should put a artificial turf sports facility in Millwoods Park. That's what it was about. And that's what the people of Wethersfield soundly rejected. And I hope that you all will respect that. So I also want to give you a little bit of information, like Bob did, about why people voted no. I think it's helpful to move forward. So the Friends of Millwoods Park talked to literally thousands and thousands of Wethersfield residents. And here's what we heard. First of all, artificial turf. A lot of people had concerns about the health and safety. You've heard it many times. The environmental impact, the proximity to Millwoods Pond, and the potential high cost of maintenance. People also voted no or didn't vote because of the poor communication and planning from the town, right? So a lot of people didn't know about the referendum. A lot of people who did know about the referendum thought that you guys rushed this through under the guise of having to have that contract signed by the end of the year or we'd lose the money. People felt left out. The Millwoods planning didn't include key stakeholders, right? The non-sports league park users and neighbors. People felt ignored. We had a public hearing, we had public comments, and you voted to proceed without addressing any of that. Finally, I think, well, actually, there's a couple more. There's a lot of reasons people voted no. But there's misplaced priorities. People want to spend money on things that we know we need, like fixing the roofs or the roads or improving the current fields. And then finally, people wanted to keep Millwoods Park a park. So a lot of concern about turning those fields into a pay-to-play, essentially, field, right? So people wanted to keep those open to the public without getting a permit. And finally, people were concerned about the park staying a park. So the short-term plan, one field. Long-term plan is, we heard about roads and parking lots and bleachers and concession stands. And the fundamental issue there is this would turn that open field into a sports facility. People really objected about that. So where do we go from here? So here's my suggestion. Allocate the remaining ARPA funds for something that's non-controversial and high priority. Reset the Millwoods Park planning to be more inclusive and to consider all these points I just made. Share, I know there are some plans for improving the fields, but perhaps we can make that more public, and accelerate that to fix the field sooner than 2030.
Mike, I'm going to ask you to summarize, please.
Okay, and here's the summary. So finally, let's keep Wethersfield green. So this wasn't just about Mill Woods Park or keeping Keisha green. Let's keep Wethersfield green. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Further public comment? Yes, sir. Bob, yeah, okay.
Good evening, Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road. I've been talking about the roof at the Highcrest School for some time now without getting to the end. I also want to talk tonight about your September 3rd, 2024 vote to put a new roof on Highcrest Elementary School. What I've done was I've gone back and looked at the last time a roof was put on the Highcrest School, which was in 2005. It cost $492,600 to put the whole darn roof on in 2005. Inflation has been running at 4.1% from 2006, that's a year after the roof was put on, till 2024. 48.1% increase from that $492,600. You come down to like $6.56 a square foot. Collier International in 2022 and 2023 came in with a report called a financial assessment and an update. And those reports showed $30-some a square foot. And this was only 18 years after a new roof was put on that should have only cost $800,000. The repair of that entire roof compared to 2005, add in the inflation, should have only been in the $850,000 range, and that should be it. But Collier indicated $2,300,000 and some dollars. Extremely high on the part of Collier International, and it showed that they had no concern or any thoughts of what pricing really was all about. But the taxpayer got hammered. And the taxpayer also, Mayor, got hammered on September 3rd, 2024, when this council voted to have a new roof put on the Highcrest Elementary School at the cost of $156,600 and not to exceed $185,000. That roof, under the calculation of what it cost in 2005 up to bringing up the inflation, should only have been $77,000. That's what you should have voted on that night. Instead, you voted on $158,000 and not to exceed $185,000. This is shameful. Doesn't anybody in this town have a sharp pencil? Or are they all dull and they do nothing? Because obviously you did nothing. You did nothing but spend 100% of the money that you didn't have to spend. And if this is how your referendum, when you look at what Collier put in for numbers, we're going to be looking at those same kinds of increases that are irresponsible. Irresponsible of people who work in the financial areas working up these reports to come up with a referendum amount of money. What you have, $278 million to do 4 or 5 schools and whatever else. What in the world are you going to come up with now? with with the board, with the advisory people looking at what Collier came in with the short time that they have to work and come up with the numbers, they're going to be still in the same ballpark as Collier. Matter of fact, they'll be higher, and you will lose again. And you'll deserve to lose again, because none of you have a sharp pencil. None of you are sharp on the tack. You're all dull. And it's disgraceful how much you just expect the citizens to vote in favor of what you recommend. There's not much you recommend that I would vote for. And back at the referendum last week, a couple of weeks ago, I voted no, and I'm happy to vote no. And I'll tell you something, Mayor. When I pulled in there at
Mr. Young,
noontime-
excuse me, I'm going to
I'll
ask you
wrap
to
it up.
some.
When I pulled in there at noontime, there were cars all over the place. This was like an unruly place. And people in the line were saying, why don't they, when this gets beat, we should get this building fixed with that same money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Further public comment? Yes?
Good evening, Gus Colantonio, 16 Morrison Avenue. Couple of things tonight. When I saw the results of the referendum, I was really surprised. How can you, when I saw 15% says no, 15% say yes, and 85% say no. Where is the communication between the council people and the residents? That should never have gone that far. If something goes to a referendum and it gets 55, 45, this and that, 50-50, it's okay. But 15%, you guys have been listening to the minority that it's louder and the majority that it's quieter. Now, let me go for those people that a lot of them are new. Only a few of them are, I guess, they've been here before. I've been in Wethersfield since 1973. I'm getting to be an older guy. And I've been complaining about my stop sign, or the one that I suggested we need on my street. But just some information for the newer people. Morrison Avenue has a 50-foot right-of-way, and Hillcrest Avenue has 80 feet right-of-way. They both run parallel, and they connected Walcott Hill with Silas Deane. These two streets are connected by Orchard. On Hillcrest side, they have 3 stop signs. On Morrison Avenue side, we only have 2 stop signs. It's sad. Now, before 1955, for the people, the younger generation, I guess, Morrison Avenue never connected to Silas Deane. Morrison Avenue was always meant to be a neighborhood. And since, after 1955, since they opened that up, the traffic on Morrison Avenue, it's doubled the one on Hillcrest Avenue. It pisses me off every time I see the Lamour trucks. Most of them, they always go from west to east. Why? Because there is no stop sign. And I always asked, and to this day, and I haven't been complaining for 51 years, but I've been complaining for the past 15 years. And the only answer I get, there are too many stop signs in Wethersfield, and we don't want to put any more. That's no answer to me. I don't know. I guess the way I behave at times, probably I deserve what I'm getting it. But the previous, not the previous town manager, but the young lady, I guess, that was here before, a few years ago, I decided to pay the income tax, I guess, income tax or the state tax or whatever it is, the taxes we pay in single dollars. I think she took a day off that day, and because she had to count the money, she had to come back. But since then, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, it's never really appreciated. Because I complain a lot about my street too. What you guys have done. When it was 30 feet wide, now it's 24. What you guys have done every year, like, the curbing gets broken. What you guys have done, you don't know what you're doing at all. Sometimes I say you are incompetent people. I complain that, where they remove the pavement, they never remove the pavement until I complained it. And then when I complained, they removed only the asphalt, but the pavement consists of asphalt and base and sub-base, because it's impossible to keep green grass in front of my house. But anyway, the light is coming in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gus. Further public comment? No? Okay, then I'll move on in the agenda to the next item, which is council reports. Does any councilor have a report this evening? Councilor Zambrello.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a report on the status of the Advisory School Building Committee, which a few people have brought up tonight. So the next meeting is tomorrow at 6 p.m. in the downstairs conference room here. We're expecting to have at least a partial update on the consultants have been working on pricing out a few of the options. So I don't think it's going to be totally done by tomorrow, but they were going to give us a partial update on that at least. So if you're interested in coming and hearing how that's going, please come along. Expecting the full update at the January meeting, and then expecting them to make a recommendation in February. And I just want to note one thing, because there's been a lot of interest in town and from the members of the committee in turning Webb into a 5-6 school, which you might have heard about. And in case you haven't, or you're wondering about some of the reasoning behind that, I just wanted to share some of that tonight. So Webb was actually originally built as a junior high. So the size of it is actually more like a junior high. It's got a larger, it actually has an auditorium, which the other schools don't have. It's got a larger gym, just got a lot more space in general. So what the consultants found when they've been looking into state reimbursements for these projects is that because that school is oversized for a K through 6, if we rebuilt it as a K through 6, we might not get all of the money from the state for it, because they're not going to agree to replace an auditorium in a K through 6, which they would in a junior school. So that's part of the argument for it. It should actually save us a lot of money, and it could be a much better experience for the kids. There are a lot of thoughts that, a 5th and 6th grader are a lot more similar to each other than a 6th grader in a kindergarten. It allows schools to consolidate some of their subject areas. These teachers can become more experts in their areas. Services for 5th and 6th graders can be in one school instead of spread out across 4 or 5. So there's a lot of benefit to this idea. It's something that's been very interesting to me as I've learned more. Heard a lot of positive reception from town about this, but I just want to put that out there for folks. If it's not something you've thought about before, give it some thought. And come to the meeting tomorrow if you can. I'm also always open for questions. If you have any you want to send to me, I go to all these meetings. I'm very engaged with this committee in making sure that the information that gets put out about this project is complete and accurate, and that you all have as much of the picture as possible. So please ask questions. There's also an FAQ on the website where you can actually submit questions, and the committee will respond to you there. And they all get posted in an FAQ so that you can see other questions that folks have asked as well. And there will be more sessions of community engagement coming up once they narrow down on more of a plan. So what has happened so far is only the first stage of that. So this is just the beginning, but they're moving along really nicely. I've been really impressed by the work they're doing and the ideas that they've put out. So we should have more information tomorrow, a great deal more in January. So just stay engaged and ask me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambrello. Appreciate your efforts there. Just as a clarification, I believe the meeting tomorrow night is in the Stillman room downstairs.
Isn't that what I said?
I think it's downstairs here, but it's still.
Oh,
Stillman, the Board of Ed building, not here.
Okay, yes.
So just as a
Stillman,
clarification, the Board of Ed building. Thank you for your report. Further council reports. I have a couple quick ones. First, EDIC. The thing I want to mention here is that Mark Trahan, the longtime chair, has stepped down after about a decade, and we thank, and I said this at the EDIC meeting, but we thank him for his many years of service, did a great job leading our economic development efforts through that committee. And the commission appointed a new chair, or elected a new chair, and that is Wes Brulick. Those of you might know Wes from the Times Fool Company, and they're currently doing the Christmas Story, I believe it is. Christmas Carol, thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Christmas Carol, which is a great opportunity to see him perform, one-act performance in Old Wethersfield. He does a great job, but he will be chairing this. Also went to the Insurance Committee meeting last week, and the news there, briefly, is good news, is that we've, as so far this year, we have been lower on the number of claims, the dollars, and this bodes well, potentially, for our budgeting for the next budget, 25, 26, if that trend continues. If I hear no other counselors with reports, I'll move on to counselor comments. Does any counselor have a comment tonight? Deputy Mayor Forrest.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to wish the council, all of the people, certainly here and watching, a happy holiday season. We certainly work with some difficult concepts up here and some difficult issues that affect people, but we're at a time in the year where I like to take a breath, and hopefully we all do, and smile a lot and shake each other's hands and enjoy the holiday season. So I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever holiday that you celebrate. And also, in that spirit, I also stopped by Anderson Farms over the last couple weeks. I got a tree for our house. They sell a lot of other things there. It's right in Old Wethersfield. Wanted to shop local, felt that was a great option. I had been going to Stu Leonard's for the past few years, but I saw on Facebook, I think it was, that they were selling some Christmas trees, so I swung by, and it was very holiday-esque. They had some beautiful lights outside, hot chocolate for the kids, so if anyone needs a tree or a wreath or an ornament, feel free to stop by Anderson Farms down at Old Wethersfield on the Green, and I'm sure they'll be happy to help you out. So, happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Further council comments? Councilor Carbone.
Hi there. Thanks, everyone. We went to Holidays on Main. I just wanted to mention it really quickly.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say too much tonight, so my holiday gift would be to get out of here early. So I just wanted to mention that. What a great night it was. Everybody, the weather was perfect. People were having a great time. The way it was structured this year was a little bit different than years past, and it really worked out well. And I want to commend all the people behind the scenes that put that together, the people who were looking out for our safety when we were having a great time, the people who created the agenda. They did a fabulous job, so thank you for that. And if you didn't go this year, please try to check it out next year. And also to reiterate, happy holidays, everyone. Whatever you do, be safe, and I wish you health and prosperity in the new year.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. Nice message. Any other counselor? Councilor Rhodes.
Hello, everyone. I've been thinking about this last year. We're a year into this term, and several of us were new and kind of finding our way. And it has, as Kenny mentioned, or Matt, I guess you mentioned it, there have been some really rough times that we have been through. And I am looking forward to the upcoming year. I am hopeful that we can continue to do better to engage with each other in civil conversations. If you want to talk to any of us, reach out. We can have phone calls. We can meet for coffee. Happy to do that with anybody who would like to talk about anything. We are all volunteers. We all have busy lives, and so we do our best to be available, but sometimes we need to hear from you. So we appreciate anyone who comes out to talk with us about the things that are on your minds. I'm excited about the things coming up. The school referendum, there's some really exciting possibilities. Looking forward, and I'm excited to see what happens about that. There's some great things happening in town. Next weekend is a carol sing over at Laura's Garden by Mikey's Place. Yeah. And there is something really magical about getting people together to sing. It's really hard to fight with people when you've been singing with them. So it's a great way to come out, meet your neighbors, just have a nice time. So I invite you to join us. That's 4 o'clock next Saturday. And again, I encourage you, if there is something that is going on, trust that we are your neighbors. We're volunteers. We're going to make mistakes, and we appreciate the conversations so that we can learn from you. And we also hope that you can learn from us, because we're really good people, all of us, right? We want what's best for the town. So reach out by phone, send us an email. If you see us out, I had a great conversation with somebody at Heirloom the other day that we just kind of ran into each other, and we had a great conversation. So please don't hesitate to touch base with us about any of these things. They're hard, but they're not that hard. We all want the same thing. We want a great town. And there's such potential for that to happen with all of us working together. So I wish you the best of the holidays, and as everyone else has said, be safe and enjoy your time.
Thank you, Councilor Rhodes. Further council comments? Seeing none, I have quite a few, so bear with me for a few minutes. First, I want to echo Shelley's comments on Holidays, Maine. It was a great evening, and thank the town and all the town staff, and did tremendous work. It's nice to see so many residents there. It was great to have the governor there. Saturday, I went to the Therapeutic Santa's Breakfast, saw some of you there. Joe, saw you there, some others, family members. It was a great event, and I think we had about 300 people there in support of that, which was great. This past week, we had a new business open up. We had a ribbon cutting, Tomo Japanese restaurant in the shopping plaza Gulfbrook with Buffalo Wild Wings. Great new business. Last, I think it was Thursday, the 12th, we had the Career Technical Breakfast. I see Mike done a lot of work with that group. Appreciate it, Mike. Career Technical Breakfast run by Mark Danaher. This is where we connect our students to our business community, and we've been involved in that for many years. Started several years ago, and it is a thriving project, and we learn about all the students run this breakfast, and they talk about their internships, the career technical program at the high school. It was great. And today I got to attend the senior luncheon, which was packed, holiday luncheon, and it was a lot of fun, great food, and got a lot of ideas about how to fix the senior center, and got a lot of input from different folks. Those are kind of the events. I did want to take a minute and talk about some of the things that some counselors have talked about. I think it's important. So this is our last meeting of 2024, and this is about 1 year into this council. And I want to start by thanking every single member up here, Brianna, Shelley, Rich, Emily, Matt, Fred, Mickey, Jane, Cindy, Sue. I mean, it has been great to work with all of you, and it is a real honor to be in the role I have. I'm grateful to the public. I appreciate the opportunity to listen to you, to speak with you, and as Councilor Roth said, always available to talk with you. And we had a very busy year, and we had a lot of accomplishments. And I want to list a few, because sometimes they get lost in some of these big issues and challenging issues that we get involved in. First, let me talk about police and fire. We invested in both of those groups in terms of new vehicles, in terms of specifically with the fire department. You may remember, some of you that have been coming, we significantly increased the amount of pay from $9 per call to $17, which is, I think, a pretty good increase for them. That's something they wanted. Also, in the terms of helping our police, we passed the red light and speed cameras. We also passed the noise cameras. These are ordinances that were supported by the entire council. We also passed an enhanced blight ordinance, which I think is very helpful and useful to our town officials in counteracting blight. So that's in the area of kind of police and fire and quality of life issues. In the area of education, we made an investment in early childhood education, very important. We started the building committee to work with the Board of Ed and eventually us to come up with a plan for our elementary schools, which I feel is as big as any issue in town. And you heard the report from Councilor Zambrello of where we are, but that we started here. We also started, this was part of the strategic plan that was developed by the previous council, and a lot of members of this council also helped with that, was to form a communication committee. We heard there wasn't great communication between the council and the board. So we formed a bipartisan council and board Communication Committee. Counselor Carbone and I serve on it from the council, and from the Board of Ed, Chuck Carey and Bobby Granado, and we also have the town manager and the superintendent of schools. And it's to work on communication between the two bodies. In the area of economic development, this is really important. Town staff has worked really hard on this, and some of the folks up here have worked really hard on it. We have had 3 significant property developments, and you've heard me report on some of these before, but it's important to note it and note it as a year-end accomplishment of this council. One is the auction house. The auction house has been sold. It's been empty for almost about 20 years. We have 2 tenants signed in there, and we've had that report. You've heard it from EDIC. Today, some of us met with a prospective, very exciting restaurant tenant, but most of the building is already signed leases, and that will be a high-performing property sometime next year. We're excited about. Masonic Home sold. We're excited about the possibilities for that. And then the old nursing home, some of you may be familiar, that's 341 Jordan Lane. We have, I don't know the best way to put this, cleared that, I guess is a good way to put it, and the developer is very excited about the potential to put housing there, apartments, and that's what he would like to do, and is beginning that process. Lastly, I'll just mention the rollout of a couple key programs that some folks have been involved in up here and in the audience. The successful rollout of the Brown Barrel program, really good for our town. And we rolled out the Citizen Recognition Program that recognized a couple citizens for outstanding contributions to Wethersfield at the beginning of this year, and we'll be doing that in January for 2 new recipients of the Citizens Recognition Award. So I just want to say it's been a wonderful year, challenging at times, but a lot of things that were accomplished. Proud to work with proud to work with all of our citizens, and I'll end by saying happy, healthy holidays to everyone, safe, and the best to all of you. If there are no other council comments, I'm going to move on to the next agenda item, which is the town manager's report. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. You covered a lot of what I was going to cover, so I'll make mine quick, as usual. I would just also like to echo my thanks to the staff for the holidays on main event. It was a fantastic event. A ton of work goes into that. I also want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for all their work to make that happen. That's an event that they started, and they work in partnership with us to make sure that it's safe and it's a great festive event for everyone. So, but staff time, Parks and Rec employees, our police department has several people out there. The planning that goes into that event, our fire department, everybody involved, and physical services, of course, for all the pre-work that goes into that. It's a major event, but it's really a wonderful event. And there were some changes made this year, as Councilor Carbone pointed out, and I think they worked out very well. It opened it up and wasn't quite so congested this year, so I think it was a great plus. Last thing I'll mention is that we have a new town planner who started this week. We're very excited to have David Elder on board. David comes to us from 10-plus years at the Department of Transportation, where he was the Director of Strategic Planning for the State's Department of Transportation. David has also been a planner in several communities at the local and regional level. A lot of experience. We're very fortunate to have him. It took a while. These are tough positions to fill, but we think we have the right person and a real great person to add to our team, and we look forward to David jumping right in. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Town Clerk's report, Sue.
I just want to say that the December EDIC memo and report are included in the packet for your review.
Thank you, Sue. We have no bids tonight. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I move this council to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 2. Do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I move to approve the R24-011 resolution to authorize the town manager to submit an application to the Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling Grant Program.
Do I have a second? Second, was that Councilor Clancy? Thank you. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 3, do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the R24-012 resolution establishing a Charter Revision Commission.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 4, do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to reclassify expenditures totaling $2,706,316 from the General Fund, Capital Improvement Fund, and Capital Non-Recurring Expenditure Fund to the ARPA grant in order to satisfy the requirement to obligate or expend all ARPA funds by December 31st, 2024.
Second.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilor Zambrello. Discussion on the motion. Councilor Carbone.
So I had just asked if the town manager could just briefly review this for people. I found it very helpful after our discussion to understand where, I know everybody's like, it's a little bit of a
Sure.
shell game, but.
Yes, it is. Well, given the bulk of this money is the money that was previously allocated for the field, roughly 1.57 or so million, and the balance of the money of the 2.7 are funds that a combination of items that were not completed yet and not fully committed yet, but we believe we will be able to do so in the coming months. And then there's a few $100,000 in there also that would be open for reallocation, like the 1.5 million. So in speaking with our auditors in the best way that we can move this forward, secure this money so we're not bound by this timeline. Anybody that's not familiar with ARPA, the way that the Treasury Department did this was they stated that any amount, $7 million, up to $7 million of any amount you got for ARPA would be considered to be revenue replacement for localities. And what that means is you can use it to supplant money in your regular budget items as opposed to special projects. Now, we've been focused on special projects throughout the course of utilizing this money to date, and all the money that's been spent to date has really been about special projects. But we are allowed, per the criteria of the Treasury Department, and our auditors have confirmed that we can apply this money to money spent for this year, because we report every year. So money spent this year, and it's a combination of salaries for some, and then it's also capital and CNEF spending that we've done this year. And really that is just to move the money so that later on in the year, the council at the end of March has the opportunity to transfer any funds over that they feel necessary from any budget item, and that's something that's done every year, where they'll be able to then move this money back into capital reserves if they want to use it for projects, or you can do with it other things as well. You can move it to any line item at that point. So that's our recommendation right now. The money that's being transferred over to CIP, CNEF, it's about $528,000, and that money would be available for you to spend at any time on projects as you move forward. The rest of the money, the 2.178 million that's going into the general fund, is not going to be available until you transfer that money in April. So, but it will be available at that time to do with as you see fit. So it gives time to work through. Now that we're kind of shifting gears here on the 1.5 million especially, which is the largest chunk here, to consider what you wanted to use this money for. So that's the recommendation before you.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager, for explaining that, and for you and the Finance Director to help find the pathway where we can still spend this money. Councilor Carbone, thank you for bringing that up so we can get it clarified. Further council discussion on the motion.
Actually, yeah, thank you. So thank you so much for that explanation. And I believe per our conversation, you had some of, please forgive me, that we actually will have about 2.1 at the end of it. I remember you saying that something had.
Yes, that's the 2.1 that shows transfer. It's a general fund expenditures. We're reapplying it to general fund expenditures, and specifically, we're targeting the police department salaries because that's a large pot of money that can absorb that amount that's already been spent.
Okay.
And
so there'll be zero time frame on
that
any
money,
of this too, right?
So that money at the end of March will come back to you all for anywhere we see that there's going to be available money in the budget, and that gives you an opportunity to transfer money to other places. Our recommendation would be to transfer it into CIP reserves because that gives you the most flexibility to use it for other projects, and you're not bound to get it done by the end of the year kind of thing.
Okay, and when is budget season happening again? Just,
Budget season's already begun. We're heavy in the CIP meetings, but for you all, it really begins. April, May are the meetings, the decision points, but we have meetings leading up to that from the last few weeks all the way through that period. So the vote will come forth late April.
thank you so much for that. I just, I do have to say, the previous council, when we kind of set that money aside for Keisha, I thought we'd be able to do something special for the town with this ARPA, and it wasn't, I mean, obviously keeping my taxes down was a priority and trying to fund other things, but I just feel a little disappointed, and I think it's kind of a wasted opportunity. It makes me a little sad that we weren't able to get something going, and I know that a lot has happened between now and then, so I'm hoping we can get this money, put it towards good use in the future. But again, it just kind of was a long time getting here, and it's a little sad, but thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. Further council comment? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. We are, new business. We are all the way on public comment again. And I'm just going to read this again. We're towards the end of our agenda. So as you all know, you have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address. Please be respectful. And at this time, I'll open the second public comment session. Would anybody like to address the council? Seeing none? Oh, Mr. Young, okay. Bob?
My leg fell asleep.
You okay, Bob? All right?
Well, I'm fine. Anyway. I was talking earlier about the High Crest School.
Just your name and address for the record, please.
Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road.
Thank you.
Earlier, I was talking about the High Crest Elementary School. And I've had several emails back and forth with the town manager on some of this, and I find some things not good. For one, when Collier International put up their report back in August of 2023, and the revised one, the one of October 2018, and the revised report as of August 2023, for roofs. They name drains, membrane shingles, and shingles. I have a problem with the town manager's response regarding the square foot of the entire building and how much the contractor was supposed to work on in 2005 for the price of $492,600. Because he did his job and came back and said, oh, we need another $75,000 to do more work on that same roof. Which tells me he didn't finish the job originally, and maybe his bid was low, and maybe he had a financial problem why he didn't finish it. And now, 3 years later, he comes back and says, oh, I got to now do some other work on the roof. And he was given a contract from the town council at that time. The town manager sends me a message and says, no mention has been made about how many sections of the roof or if the entire roof was replaced. Think about that one. The contract doesn't say how many square feet they're supposed to repair or replace for the price. It doesn't say anything. It's blank. Yet the manager goes on and says, this work did not include the upper 3 sections of the roof, or the mansard, that's the shingled section looking from the street, and that these additional sections were approved for replacement at the April 7th, 2008 meeting. So the issue here is something's wrong, because he charged $492,000 to do the roof. He didn't complete it, and then he was given another contract later. What happened here was the town didn't hold his feet to the fire. Tell me differently if I'm wrong, Mr. Manager, because I look for things that is in writing. I don't take what's said, because what's said is hot air, as far as I'm concerned. And by you saying what you said, and you weren't here, of course, but what you said was that they came back, it was part of the roof that he never did. And now you paid an extra we paid an extra $75,000 at that time. And then on top of it, the roof that was put on in 2005 starts leaking in 2016, 11 years later. And I asked the town manager, was there a legal action taken against him? And he's not aware of any action, which there's no action that was taken against the contractor. But you gave him another contract. And your transparency in this whole thing is, there isn't any transparency, Mayor. And if this is the way it works, there's a lot more roofs here. A lot more roofs that we're talking about that could be the same way. And we're overpaying because our people who are supposed to have the sharp pencils and keep an eye on these guys aren't doing their job. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was red. But anyway, they're not doing their job.
It's almost red. It's almost red. It's almost
I don't know
red.
what it was. But
It's almost red.
anyway, something's wrong with the way our people work. And it's not healthy for the taxpayer. And when we listen to what the school advisory board says, they got to produce the evidence before they can run with it. And I would hope that you would make them. I will be following them. And
Thank you,
there's
Mr.
something wrong here.
Thank you, Mr.
Something
Young.
drastically wrong.
Thank you. Further public, Tom and Christine as well. Either one. Christine, Tom.
Christine Kelly, LaSella, 37 Belmont Street. I can't acknowledge anybody in the audience, but I want to say I'm proud to have been part of a group of people that all kind of came together, and I only knew 2 of them when this Friends of Millwoods was created, and I met like 14 people who I have nothing in common with. We're not bad people, we're just very different people, and we all came together for a common purpose, and we communicated, and we listened to each other. We texted, we emailed, we got together. I've been at some of their homes now. I don't know if they're going to regret that because I know where they live, but it was an amazing opportunity to share with our town. And I had many, many people that I communicated with that didn't know anything about the agenda, the referendum. I had a neighbor of mine say, well, I don't need to vote. It's not going to matter. They're not going to listen anyway. So many of us took a lot of time to explain. I am disappointed the town didn't send anything out. I'm not savvy with this politics stuff yet, but I'll get there. There was not a lot of communication, and I think that has to be taken into consideration. You guys need a PIO. I've said it more than once. You need somebody to communicate to this town and share what's going on, and please listen to people. There's a 2018 referendum that exists. You owe a field on Keisha Farm. Please take some of that ARPA money and put a field. I'm not telling you to, I'm not encouraging, artificial turf or anything, but that referendum, again, nobody says a word. Nobody has sat up here and looked at me and said, Christine, this is why we're not doing it. And I'm really disappointed that there were false promises made to the sports community. by saying, we're going to get you a field at Millwoods if you pull off Keisha. Well, that's not how it works. It's not how it worked because the referendum of Millwoods spoke for itself. But I talked to the gentleman who was on Facebook, and I told you at the last meeting I would communicate with him, and I had a 20-minute phone conversation with him, and he confirmed he did communicate with people on this council. He was given a promise to pull off Keisha Farm, and he'd get Millwoods. And now that community is upset. Give him a field at Keisha. I have the referendum, the vote. It's here, and we bought the farm for that purpose, and I have tons of emails and other documentation. So I really think, I think it kind of stinks that nobody up here on this dais or whatever y'all call it, you didn't acknowledge the referendum either to any of these people who worked their tails off tirelessly, myself included, but more so those people over there. We talk about Millwoods Park and the history. I've told you Millwoods Park was a gift to the town, and if it wasn't to be used for park purpose, then it's to be reverted back to the Griswold family. Well, Stillman Park in Old Wethersfield is the same thing, or Standish Park. The Standish family gave that as a gift. You can't go in there and start changing stuff up and say, well, we want to put this here because we can. Wilkes Farm is protected by a land trust grant. I looked that up. You guys aren't doing anything with that. So don't look at Millwoods and say, well, we're going to do whatever we think is best, because that property is protected too. Respect the tradition and the history of our town. It's important. And respect the taxpayers and their voices and what people want. There's so much that I could go on, but I think you really need to consider what you do with that money. And no disrespect, but for the town manager to say, well, the town council can take this money and do with it what they want, I think that's a little loosey-goosey for me. I don't do what you want. How? What, if you want to go buy something, you could do it. I don't think that's appropriate. And I think you have to do better. Communication, and tell the truth. Just say it. Say you did it. Say, I said, yeah, I promised the guy a field on Millwoods. Because it's a bad look not to tell the truth. I was raised to tell the truth. I didn't always, and I got in trouble. And that's what happens. So I think that's really what I have to say. And I appreciate the people, the Friends of Millwoods Park, and they're not going anywhere. We got other meetings to attend and communicate, and I think it's a good thing for our town. I guess that's all. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Christine. Tom was next, and anyone else? Other Tom? I think Robin, you had your hand up. No, Tom and then Tom.
Good evening, Tom Mazzarella, 600 Walcott Hill Road. A couple things I just wanted to mention tonight. I was a little bit intrigued about the comment about the 5 to 6 school, and I think we can do a lot better with communication with the school building committee. We get constant updates from Councilor Zambrella, which is great. There seems to be a little bit of a disconnect between the building committee and some of the Board of Education members, and I think that needs a little work. I happen to talk to a certain group of Board of Education members that have an R after their name, and they feel like they're kind of left out of the loop. They find out more information from Councilor Zambrella than they do from the building committee. So I'd like to see a little bit of improvement there. But going back to the 5 to 6 schools, I think you could go out and survey many of the towns in the state of Connecticut. Do you have a 5 to 6 school? Is that something that you changed from K through 6 to the 5 and 6 method? Does it work? Do you like it? Or was it one of these, open classroom concepts where we spent millions of dollars building schools only to find out that doesn't work? We got to put some walls up now. So I think there's got to be some data out there that would support a recommendation or a plan to go to that model. Get some statistics. I don't know. I didn't go to school in that fashion. I went the K-6 style. The building committee put out one of the briefings by TSKP, and they talked about using a portion of Keisha Farm property on the north side as a possible building site for a Highcrest annex, they called it. And whether or not the chairperson, Russ Moran, is going to say what other people heard was that, you know, that suggestion was brought forward by the consultants that were asked to provide recommendations, kind of think out of the box. And it was summarily dismissed. Having a little trouble with that word. But it was just put aside, and the explanation was that that property is too controversial to be considered for use as a school. And I just don't understand the lock that community up near Keisha has on that property, where we have to use it for farm. As you know, there's been a bid put out for a Keisha Farm master plan. And in it, some of the considerations are to not just consider the land at Keisha for sports fields, but look at other areas in town, as if to say, we don't have to put them at Keisha, we could put it at Millwoods, we could put it somewhere else. There's also a comment in there about future needs of the Board of Education. So you have the Keisha Farm Master Plan suggesting we can use the land for farming and maybe move the field someplace else. Oh, because the schools might need that for their building. And then you have the building committee saying, no, we don't want to put school there because it's too controversial, so I guess we could just go forward with the farmland. I just don't think that's the way to go. And I think we can all do better. I think that was brought up by several council members tonight, and I hope we can next year, and I hope everybody has a nice holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
You bet, Tom.
Tom Carson?
Hi, Tom Carson, 12 Avalon Place. I just wanted to thank our town manager for just creating an environment in this town where we are aggressively seeking state and federal grants, where we're spending money for consultants, where we're doing the things we need to do in order to get more money and to build some of these transformational projects that we want to build in this town. Mr. Mayor, your checklist of accomplishments, I would also add that we won significant federal grants to transform the Silas Deane Highway, with which our help, we are going to rename the Silas Deane Boulevard hopefully one day. And that was $750,000 we got in federal funding for that with the town of Rocky Hill. Another $3 million that we got for the Berlin Turnpike. That these are two projects ultimately, assuming, and it's a big assumption, but that we start getting some more grants to help us actually build these projects to make those roads safer, not only for drivers, but for pedestrians, maybe even bicyclists one day. And I also want to thank your staff, with Vlada and Derek in the engineering department, the work they're doing with the trail projects around town. We had the governor here for the ribbon cutting back in May for the Putnam Bridge when we opened that. And it seems like the governor's here every couple of weeks, actually, for something that's going on in our town. And there is a real buzz in Wethersfield. And I know my assessment went up 55% when I did the math. I think what's lost on a lot of people is that people want to move to this town, and that Might not be good if I'm 22 years old and I want to buy a house, but we are all reaping the benefits of being in a community where people want to move to because they see the things that are happening here. I follow the former deputy mayor when he's talking about Keisha Farm. I feel like he's going to be talking about Keisha Farm for the rest of his life. But the prior town councils had a lot of opportunities to do the same things that we're doing now when it comes to hiring people to do a survey, environmental testing, hiring a consultant, do all those things. They were never done. It's one of the reasons why maybe we're still talking about it today. So I just want to say that I appreciate everything that's going on and the movement, the positive movement we're making in town. And I wanted to wish you all a happy holiday season, healthy holidays, and keep at it, and see you in 2025.
Thank you, Tom. Further public comment? Seeing none, again, I want to wish everybody a happy, healthy holiday season. We have no executive session. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Counselor Zambrello, do I have a second? Counselor Clancy jumped at that one. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.